Joy isn't naive or superficial, and neither does it make you a Pollyanna. Hello, welcome to this week's Wild Spirits News. My name is Sibylla, and today's subject is joy is a profound emotion, not just sadness or anger. I remember years ago watching an interview with the late, great David Bowie, and he was as lovely and wise as ever. And one thing he said really struck a chord with me. He said that people associate profound emotion with negative emotions, such as sadness or anger, and also deep thought and critical thought, and being a revolutionary, a rebel. But he said, in our day and age, it's even more subversive to be happy, to be joyful. That's being a real revolutionary. And this has really stayed with me because it's true. Joy is indeed a very profound emotion, and it's well worth pursuing. Your mission today is to learn why this is so and how you go about it. Task number 1 is why joy is a profound emotion. I've spoken about the evolutionary negativity bias before. I'm going to put a link in the description below. But what I'm talking about here goes way beyond that. It's not just the news that take advantage of our tendency towards the negative or attraction to the negative through the evolutionary bias. It's almost as if we've created a cult around anything negative. This goes into academia, to the point where literature or movies with a happy ending are from the get-go seen as more superficial, as more shallow, as less serious, or they're not taken as seriously as works of fiction with a bad ending or with a sad ending. Historically, however, strong emotions have, of course, always caused artists to be very productive, to produce their best work. But these strong emotions weren't just anger, sadness, frustration, depression, and things like that. They were also joy, being in love, being moved by joy, by religious ecstasy. Just think of all the religious works, the religious hymns and the artwork in churches and all the rest. So joy has always been just as big a motivator as sadness or desperation or anger to create works of art. Task number 2 is the challenges of focusing on joy. As Bowie stated in the aforementioned interview, these days it's akin to a revolutionary act to focus on joy and happiness. You'll be faced with all sorts of prejudices and obstacles, such as people will assume that you're a bit superficial. People will assume that you're naive and maybe not very experienced in life. Some people will try and take advantage of you because of your perceived naivety. And then there's the negative splainers, as I call them, which will go to great lengths to explain to you why the world is bad and why you're wrong to be happy or positive or expect the best. It takes a lot to stand around against these united forces of negativity. But stick it out, because it's actually well worth it. Task number 3 is how to pursue joy and happiness. So how do you actually go about pursuing this joy focus in a world that is completely hell-bent on focusing only on the negative and only acknowledging and valuing the negative? So there are some steps that you can do, and they'll fly in the face of everything that people around you do. So to become a happy revolutionary, as I call it, you could, number 1, stop watching the news for a while or reading the news. This is really difficult, especially if you're on social media where news articles and items and videos are constantly linked. Resist the draw for a while, at least for a while. I've started now, after a while of complete abstinence, I've started watching the news once a day, 15 minutes, and that's it. That's because the news, like I said before, take advantage of our evolutionary negativity bias, of the fact that we naturally value negative news as more important than positive ones, and so we're drawn to the negative news. So the news are full of negative news. You'll never hear that there has been peace in this or that third world country for the last 40 years. No, you'll hear the one where there's civil war, where people murder each other, right? So stay away from that for a bit. because the world is not nearly as negative as it is presented in the media, including social media. Number 2 is list 3 things that you're grateful for every day. That's a common practice. I'm sure you've heard this before. You can write it down. You can just say it in your mind or out loud. Do this maybe whenever you brush your teeth in the morning or at the same time every day or before you go to bed. 3 things that you're grateful for. And you can do that several times a day or just once a day, but once a day is kind of the minimum in order to get into that habit. Number 3, I call, if you're happy and you know it, acknowledge it. Just become conscious. Hey, I'm feeling good right now. Hey, I'm happy. Hey, something good just happened. Tell others about it. Stop sharing only the bad stuff. You know, when people meet and they're like, yeah, how are you? Yeah, I'm okay. Lots of work though. Oh man, it's really stressful. And yesterday I stubbed my toe or I twisted my ankle or whatever. Listen into conversations between friends or acquaintances on the street and you'll be absolutely shocked how much of it revolves around negativity. Try to break that pattern consciously. Talk about positive things. This is going to feel really weird for a long time. But this is about building habits, and habits take a while and they feel fake at the beginning. That's why they're habits. You need to break out of the old habit and establish a new one. And then it'll become easier and easier over time. So doing this is well worth it, because if you work on it regularly, you will greatly increase the amount of joy that you feel every day and your overall happiness level. That brings me to task number 4, which is, as usual, let me know. Leave a comment and tell me where you stand on this. Do you already practice some of the things that I've mentioned? Do you see yourself as a positive person? Would you like to more be realistic? Are you not quite ready to let go of the news yet? Whatever it is, just leave me a comment. As long as you're respectful, you're welcome to disagree with me. And I'll reply to every comment, I promise. If you'd like a little more, you could join the community of Wild Spirits. You go to wildspiritscoaching.com and fill in that little form there. You'll get a 100% spam-free newsletter, 1 email per week with a lot of extra information, additional articles, recommendations of books and other resources. And sometimes you get exclusive offers that are only for my subscribers that nobody else ever gets to see. So go to wildspiritscoaching.com and sign up, or you can Google Wild Spirits Coaching. That'll get you to the website as well. Thank you for watching.